And here we go again. I'm Pete Najarian. This is the Take for Market Rebellion on this Tuesday morning. Yesterday, we started off the week kind of calm. Then we sort of had a little bit of that push towards the lows of the day right about midday. But then a nice big explosion to the upside, a nice big move. Matter of fact, Dow actually did recover pretty nicely, up about 95 points. We really had a nice bounce yesterday. The NASDAQ, after hitting those lows around midday, just sprinted to the upside, up more than 1.3% or 185 points. So a really strong move out of that area. There's a little bit of an interesting part to that, though. It really was technology driven this time, a little bit less about the semiconductors. But you look over at the technology space, that was actually up about 1.25% or so. It was a little bit of a leader, at least from what we were seeing. Semiconductors participated, but they were lagging. They were up about 0.75%. Matter of fact, there were some names actually in negative territory, and that's usually not the case. Usually you see that's specific area all moving together. Not always the same amount, but certainly moving together. A little bit of a dispersion there between some of those various names. Volatility, everybody's talking about. And of course, we've been talking about the possibility. Matter of fact, the other day, I thought we might close under 20. We did not. We did, however, on yesterday's trade. That was pretty interesting. Lowest levels since very early February. So gives you a little bit of an example of what kind of a market we have flipped into from where we were just a week ago or so, when things were moving at a much bigger velocity and we were seeing a lot more volatility. We're seeing that steadily come down. We've been talking about that for probably the better part of the last week, just that steady pullback. And that's been very, very consistent. Volumes yesterday, definitely lighter, averaging about 42 million a day, 36.6 million contracts. That's certainly light. It was Apple with 1.6 million, Tesla 1.4 million. You had AMC, one of those names that's been hitting for a while. That was 1.6 million. So we had a lot of activity in those three names. And then after that, kind of quiet, very, very quiet. Matter of fact, Apple actually, was only 1.1 million, but in the million contract club. So consumer discretion, that was where the leadership was, 2.6% to the upside. We talked about this yesterday. A lot of that really focused around Tesla, not just Tesla, but certainly a huge contributor to that move yesterday. Technology strong, energy very weak. Matter of fact, we started off the day, we had oil right around 108. Then before you know it, we actually finished the day closer to 103. So you can understand why you're seeing the energy space. As a matter of fact, those beta energy names all under pressure yesterday. We talk about it all the time. They do move to the upside with that same beta. They move to the downside. Yesterday, it was Halliburton. It was a Schlumberger. It was Conoco. It was Occidental. All those usual suspects were getting pulled back to the downside, along with some of those Chinese names like PDD and JD with a little bit of a negative tilt, even though we were a very strong market once again yesterday. Tesla, why was it moving and actually approaching 1,100? Well, a lot of that having to do, of course, with the split that was talked about. 8% move to the upside. That's a pretty phenomenal move for the size of that stock. You also had some of those cruise ships moving to the upside. CCL, Norwegian definitely moving to the upside. Moderna, Okta, Microsoft, Salesforce. As I said, we had a lot of movement that was coming out of the tech space as well. Zoom is another one. Lulu had a really nice day. Lulu's been running, it seems like lately, as we get a little bit closer. We're going to hear tonight about their earnings as well. So that's something we'll be definitely looking for. Early on, pre-market, Dow about 300 points to the upside, NASDAQ up about 160, 165 points to the upside. We did jump almost immediately to over 400 points to the upside for the Dow. We got all the way back to 150, and then we started climbing back up over 200 points just moments ago. So a lot of movement going on, some intraday. You're seeing a little bit more of that. With that, you're seeing volatility that actually got underneath 19 today. We were at 1893 or something like that, but back up above 19. Matter of fact, last I looked, with volatility index trading about 1955. We look over at the NASDAQ. NASDAQ started off 160 points to the upside, 200 points to the upside, kind of faded a little bit. We were under about 85 points to the upside. Last I looked, up about 125. So let's call somewhere close to about 100 points for the NASDAQ, about 200 points for the Dow as of right now. Consumer discretion started off extremely strong, gave back a pretty decent chunk. It was up almost 2%. It's actually up now a little less than 1%. So that's part of what we were seeing and some of that shifting that's been going on. Same thing is true of the technology, which was up about 1.5%, up about 0.75% last I looked. Financials, they were pretty strong early on. You had the 10-year sitting right around 2.4 in that sort of range. And yet financials slipped from 1.3 all the way down towards flat. Not really much going on with the staples, but energy still down about 3% today, down about 2.5%. We did fall beneath 100 for the price of crude, then started to climb back up. Matter of fact, we got up over 101, then we're back towards that 100 level, something that I know a lot of folks have been watching very closely. We've had all that movement in energy and specifically recently that big bounce back from that 95 all the way up to 115. Here we are once again back towards 100. So a lot of volatility in that sector, no doubt about that. Bitcoin definitely stands out. It has been on an absolute tear to the upside. We've been talking about some of the moves here and there today, right around that 48,000, a little less than 48,000 last I looked, but very, very powerful day again for Bitcoin, which has been really on a pretty nice move to the upside over the last couple of sessions. Nielsen, you've got yourself a stock that's getting bought for 28 bucks. That's moving that stock pretty nicely today. FedEx moving pretty nicely, as well as Fred, who's been there forever, founder, is talking about how he's stepping down, already appointing the new CEO and the whole deal. So they are moving along at FedEx. Pretty interesting. We'll probably be talking about that. I will be on the halftime report today as well. Just a few things going on. And so I'll be sliding on there in just about a little less than an hour and a half or so. Nielsen, as I mentioned, Mohawk's another one of those names moving to the upside. Some of those Chinese names getting a little bit of a rally after the pressure yesterday, the JD, PDD. You look at Lulu having another nice day today. So that's really been running as we get into the earnings. Pretty interesting to watch that. Boeing, Disney really powering a lot of the bigger parts of the market, S&P, as well as the Dow as far as Boeing is concerned. Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, American Express, all having a pretty decent day, at least early on. But then they started giving a little bit of that back. So we've got some weakness in Mosaic, some weakness in CF Industries. We've talked about that area for a while. They were hitting new 52-week highs and getting through there, getting a pullback today, however, after that big run that they've had. Those beta energy names, yeah, they're under a little bit of pressure today, especially when we'd seen the price of crude getting underneath 100. Deere, Freeport, McMoran also having a little bit of pressure today. They have been on a really nice run as well. So not everything is going to always go up straight up all the time. You always have to expect some of those pullbacks. Certainly. I got two unusuals. I'll have a couple more when we get to the halftime report. ET, Energy Transfer. That one stood out for me definitely right out of the gate. You're looking at energy. Why would we be seeing some upside call buying? Can't really tell you, but stock trading just a little bit over 11. We had 11,000 of the April 1st 11 calls. So these expire Friday. So you've got today, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Friday, that's it. But these calls, they're buying right where the stock is trading. It was trading initially at about 9 cents for these options, went all the way up to about 29 cents. But as the stock was moving to the upside, of course, the options were moving up as well, particularly with these being right at the money and a very short-term trade. Salesforce is my second one, CRM. Trading just underneath 221. We had 3,200 of the April 1st. Again, very short term. That theme continues to play out. But the April 1st, 225 calls. So the stock's going to have to make a pretty decent move over the next couple of sessions to be able to get up through there. Can it make a fast move towards that level in the next day or two? Those options should start to move. Those were going for about 85 cents all the way up to maybe about as high as about $1.30 on the 3,200 we were seeing bought there. Folks, have a great day of trading. It's going to be a busy day. I got to get running. I got to get ready for the halftime report. Look forward to seeing you then. Got a couple unusuals for you. I know we'll be talking about Lulu. I know we'll be talking about FedEx. And I know that we're going to be having a lot of different discussions about what's going on with the 10-year, price of crude, Bitcoin, all of it. Tune into us, CNBC, at noon today. Take care. Have a great day of trading.